afternoon, good morning, good evening to each one of you who's watching us live on Talksopedia, and I welcome you all to yet another exciting episode. Talksopedia is an online talk show where we invite people from different parts of the world. These are the people who have worked for the benefit of others, people who have brought some hope in others' lives, people who have inspired others to be the change the world is looking for, people who are considered to be the Good Samaritans. And today, we have such great personality with us. Now, this gentleman is a motivational speaker. He is a leadership transformational coach, a management expert with 25 years of experience in wide spectrum of areas like business, consulting, training, and many life-changing projects. He is the founder of Hope Educational Initiatives here in India and overseas. And he is also the managing trustee of the Village of Hope Educational and Charitable Foundation. He was until recently the head of business planning in Qatar Foundation Education City here in Qatar, the master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, an avid blogger, YouTuber, and author who holds 2 Limca Book of Records entries. He is someone who sincerely follows his passion of enabling and inspiring others, especially the future generations, to be the change we all are looking for. So please help me welcome the kind-hearted, generous, the Good Samaritan of Qatar, Dr. Rajeev Thomas, onto the screen. So,
Thank you so much, Ms. Nisha, and it's really a pleasure and a privilege to be on your show. I've seen the kind of audiences and the kind of speakers that you have hosted in the past, and I'm really humbled that you considered to invite me to come and say a few words to your viewers as well.
Thank you so much, sir. It's my privilege, because when you sent your profile and when I read and when I came to know all these about you, I said, this will be a great opportunity for me and, for the show itself to have you as a guest. Thank you so much.
Humbled. Thank you.
All right, sir. Now, to begin with, we all want to know, what is your story?
Right. Okay. That's a very interesting and complicated question at the same time. When I saw your poster going out calling me a Samaritan and all that, I said, oh, wait a minute. This can't be right, because I'm just an ordinary human being doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And just that not everybody is tuned to making sure that they leave some deep footprints in this world before it's time for us to go away from here. But thankfully for me, my life had given us a lot of opportunities, but more than that, a lot of challenges, which actually helped me to leave a few footprints, hopefully that the future generation can gain from. I think the story of my life is more about understanding how things don't really always go the way that you want it to go. Things may not turn out to be exactly as you plan it to be. Your needs and desires and your plans may actually be faced with a lot of stumbling blocks on the way, but eventually, after a while, you'll realize that all that has been for good. So that's basically the summary and the synopsis of the story of my life, because we all have a purpose in our life. It's just that sometimes we don't realize it until way late into our own lives. So to give it in a nutshell, I did my early schooling in the Middle East. My dad was based out of Muscat, so I used to study over there. And then once I went back to India, as you know, during those times, and I think even now, a lot of parents are interested to make their children into doctors and engineers. So I had the dream of becoming an engineer as well. but it's just that I wasn't qualified to be one. So I couldn't figure out mathematics. I couldn't figure out the formulas. I couldn't be good in science. So I really had a tough time trying to become an engineer. But of course, my parents were extremely supportive, and my dad was in the Middle East at that time. My mother was with us back in India, and she kept pushing the management of the school to try to give me a seat in the science stream in the 11th and 12th, because that's a requirement to go into engineering. But of course, after a couple of days in the science class, I really went back home crying to mom and saying, look, the water's really flowing over my head. I cannot understand anything that's happening over there. So I had to pull out from there and went into the commerce stream. And then I thought that, okay, if I can't be an engineer, I might as well become an accountant. And because that was the next bright thing to pursue at that time. But as life would have it, I didn't do well in my accounts in school either. So I consider myself, and when I speak to students across the world, I tell them, I've never been a front bencher. I've never been an outstanding student in school. I was just an ordinary student. But here I am standing today in front of so many students around the world, talking to them and trying to inspire them. So it's a story that, any ordinary person can actually go on and create an impact. So coming back to my school story, once I left school, I tried to join accounting program in colleges. I could not do that. Eventually, I had to take up a course in Loyola College in Chennai, where I was based at that time, and went into a subject called sociology, which I hadn't even heard about, and then I had to learn a bit more about what the subject is all. And then I went into study, and I was a good student. I didn't do extremely well, but I didn't do extremely bad either. So I was an okay student in sociology. I enjoyed my college life. And then I went on to do a master's program in school called Master of Social Work. Now, as I really didn't know where life was going, because, I wanted to be an engineer, but I couldn't. And then I wanted to be an accountant. I couldn't. So I had to take the subject that I was given, and I was managing with it. And here I was doing social work. And all the while I was kept questioning myself, why is all this happening to me? And I didn't have any answers there. But as luck would have it, as soon as I finished my college, in fact, in a couple of weeks after I finished my college, my dad, who was in the Middle East, he used his contacts to find me a job in Saudi Arabia. So here I was at the age of 21, just after completing college, heading off for my first job in Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia, I'm talking about 25, 30 years ago, was not a very interesting place to be in. And not that it's a very interesting place to be in now also, I guess. But yeah, at that time, it was really difficult. But here I was forced into a job that, came my way. And I quickly moved up the career ladder in the job that I was given. And I went there with an objective. I went there with the objective of getting 5 lakh rupees in my bank account. So because that's what it used to cost to get an MBA program in the United States of America at that time. So I wanted to get 5 lakh rupees in my account and then go to the US and do an MBA. But as life would have it, in a couple of years after I joined the job, I decided to get married. And I said the MBA can wait, but marriage can't. So there goes my goalpost started shifting from there onwards. And then I got married. I got my kid in after a year's time. So my MBA dreams kept getting pushed away. But what happened is when my son was born, my eldest son, Steven, a day after he was born, we realized that he is a child with special needs and he has Down syndrome. Now comes the turning point in my life. My wife, of course, comes from a medical background, but I was a complete commoner. So I did not know anything about Down syndrome, but I didn't know that it's going to make him have various developmental delays in life. And the entire training of my life in colleges had conditioned me, especially during my sociology and my social work days, to go into case studies, empathy, sympathy, casework, and things like that, that were conditioning me to become a better parent, to absorb and understand the needs of my child with special needs when he is born. So without knowing that this is happening to me, life kept pushing me around from one goalpost to another, like a football that's been kicked around. And but there was a purpose behind it. So here comes my son, and I'm stuck in Saudi Arabia. with the nearest educational facility, training facility for him being 350 kilometers away. And there was no way that I could drive from a place called Yambu Industrial City in Saudi Arabia all the way to Jeddah on a daily basis to give him any training that he wanted. So here comes the next mountain in my life, my next hurdle in my life. So I have a child who needs training, but I can't give him training. But and I was doing pretty well in the company, so I'm very comfortable in my comfort zone. But then all of a sudden, the manager or the boss that I used to work in, he moved away from there, and I started having political issues in the company. So it was forced me to move from there. And all of a sudden, another gentleman who used to work with me, who was my boss at that time, he had moved to Qatar. And he calls me up one day, just a casual call, out of the blue, and I was really worried, and my mind is of a lot of pressure. And he says, Rajiv, I've started some consulting business in Doha, Qatar. Would you like to come and join me? Because I need somebody with your experience and background over there. And I hadn't heard about Qatar. Many people hadn't heard about Qatar at that time, because, Qatar was just an appendix sticking out of Saudi Arabia's map at that time. It's just a few years later that we got awarded the World Cup, and all the great, wonderful things that happened over here took place. So I Googled up Qatar on the internet at that time, and having an internet connection at that time was a privilege as well. And once I Googled up Qatar, the first thing that came up over there was the name of Shafallah Center for Special Needs. And that was the only thing I could read about Qatar on the internet, not even any description about the geography or anything else. And I saw it as a message from about it. It said, go to Qatar, something good is going to happen for your son. And I took the call, I came to Qatar, but once I reached over here, I realized that, it's not going to be very easy for my son to get the training that he needs at Shafallah, because, it's a facility that has a huge waiting list, and it's going to take a lot of time for me to get him there. And of course, I was in a small job. I was making small salary at that time, so I couldn't afford another facility and a private institution that was available here for children with special needs. So at that time, in conversation with like-minded individuals, with the support of members of the Indian Embassy, and of course with the initiative from my wife, we decided that we would start a center for children with special needs. So that's how Hope Qatar came into being. And, we realized that we were not only parents who could not have a meaningful and affordable place for our son to go to study. There were many others. So that's how Hope came into being. So since then, there's been a lot of sequence of events, happening. And I found that, life has been pushing me to areas that I never wanted to venture into, but eventually it was all with a big purpose. And that's how Hope came into being. That's how the center that you spoke about back in India, which is a Village of Hope Foundation for the differently abled youngsters who could go and live in this place once their parents are no more, is a project that I'm handling at present. I've taken up a project to create specialized gymnasiums for differently abled individuals across India, because there are no specialized gymnasiums or health centers for them. They could go to other places, but they are not, sensitized or customized for this. So that's something coming up. There's a lot of things like that. And then I was working in a place, as you mentioned, Qatar Foundation for a long time, about 13 years. I was the head of business planning over there. I oversaw the beautiful expansion projects that happened over there. I had to sign off on strategic plans for many people. I reported to the top management, the royal family themselves. So it was a great opportunity, but at some stage you have to take a call and decide that, you want to go and pursue what's in your passion. And that's why I call myself a passionpreneur. So all these activities that I've taken up were built out of passion for doing something and giving back to the community. And my parents were aging back in India. So I really decided, look, I could always stay here. I'm in a beautiful comfort zone. I'm getting a lot of money, but I cannot wait for something to happen to my parents before I go and be with them. I come across a lot of people in Doha, Qatar, and around the world who come and tell me, look, I wish I could have gone back before something happened to my parents, it's too late and things like that. So somewhere you have to take a decision in your life that actually, enough is enough. And then let's go and do things that are more meaningful and more, so where your value system lies, So that's in just the story of my life. I think I've taken too much time already.
No, that's fine, because see, when we looking at somebody on a poster, and when we read the profile, it gives us a certain idea. Okay, but people don't know what exactly has happened, in the background. So when we speak to each other, when we talk, there are so many things that I came to know about you. Otherwise, when I had your profile with me, I was like, oh wow, he's a motivational speaker, he has done this and that. But now I know what you went through, and now have reached a point, but before that you crossed so many mountains, as you said. Right now, coming back to your career in Qatar Foundation, what exactly was that, and how did that happen?
Right. So I did mention that, there was a call from my previous boss who asked me to come to Qatar, and we started a small consulting firm over here called Solutions. And very soon I became the general manager for the Middle East operations for that activity. And we actually pioneered the concept of quality management system in Qatar at a very early stage. I'm talking many, many years ago. So one of our clients was Qatar Foundation. And we did a lot of projects for them in terms of creating systems and management systems and practices and their strategy and things like that. And one day I was approached by them by the end of the project, asking if I would like to stay on with them after the project. And of course, my boss also joined them. So it was a good team. All of us moved over there. And I moved rapidly into the business planning area, and that is in the strategic planning directorate of Qatar Foundation. And of course, we were guiding the long-term strategy for the foundation for over 13 years. Until when I decided that enough was enough and I could move on and go back home. So that's my story about the career of 25 years in the Middle East. So I started very young. I mean, 21 years was a very early stage to start a career. I might have missed out on some of the fun I could have had after college life, but no regrets, no regrets. You can always have fun in life whenever you want to.
And I also read that you are a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. Okay, now I have also done the associate practitioner course. How does neuro-linguistic programming, how has it helped you in your all these works that you do?
Right. Okay. As part of my work with Qatar Foundation and the career that I had in QF, I had this wonderful opportunity to interact with and get directly trained by a lot of leadership gurus like Stephen Covey and Dr. Ken Blanchard, Edward de Bono, and Kaplan and Norton, the inventors of the balanced scorecard. So there's a lot of impact that they've had on my way of thinking and my way of life. But then, I started reading up about neuro-linguistic program, which is basically about trying to use certain terminologies and language patterns to tune your brain to perform at a peak performance stage. And I said, look, this is a tool that I would like to have with me, because I started interacting with youngsters. I mean, as part of the Hope Qatar programs that we launched in Qatar, we used to have something called the Message of Hope, which is an annual event that talks about how people with disabilities or how people with challenges can overcome their challenges and disabilities if they are given the right opportunities. So we used to bring to Qatar self-advocates from around the world. And one of the people I brought into Qatar was Nick Wojcik. Some of you may have heard about him, the man without arms and legs. And he says, I'm a man without arms and legs and no worries. So he was my guest here in Qatar, and we did massive programs. We had more than 200,000 people attend that event. And, so over many years, I've had this chance to interact with people. A lot of them have gained from the programs already. So I said, look, if I can grab a little bit more techniques of using the light language patterns and things to impact life more, especially when I talk to the youngsters, it will help me. So I went and did this course for the basic program, and then I did the master's as well. And I don't call it, practicing NLP anymore, but I just introduce it in a subtle manner in every message that I have for the audiences, even be it in my books or in my blogs or in my YouTube channels or wherever it is. So it's actually helped me a lot also to overcome my own personal challenges. I've gone through a lot of difficulties, and sometimes to practice some of these techniques helps us to overcome some of the difficulties that you have in life.
Right. Now, you have left the, that what should I say, that designation in Qatar Foundation. You have left that part. Now, what are you doing currently? What are your main projects that you are handling?
Right. Okay. I think I'm just enjoying my life a bit. Uh, there are challenges, personal challenges, interpersonal challenges, financial challenges. Everything will be there, but I think I'm following my passion. First of all, I have the opportunity to be with my parents as they are aging. So I'm on call. So I spend about half my month in India and half my month in Doha at present. But it wasn't that easy during the COVID period due to travel restrictions, but things were slowly opening up. So here I am in Doha at present. I'll
Yeah.
be traveling out in a few days' time back to India again. I come over here to Qatar mainly to expand and enhance the projects that we have at Hope Qatar Center for Children with Special Needs. We
Mm-hmm.
just moved to a much larger facility now. So from 60 students, now we can start serving 100, and we will be expanding into other parts of Doha as well. So I focus a lot on that. I had a lot of time, so I wrote my latest book recently. It's called Let's Move Mountains. I'll speak about that in a couple of minutes to you as well.
Yeah.
And I pursue a lot of speaking opportunities because people invite me, and I go to colleges, I go to schools, I travel across the country. I've been all the way up to Rajasthan, even to the remotest villages, to speak to students over there and tell them that, look, it doesn't matter where you are based. It doesn't matter if you are the child of a rickshaw puller or if you are the child of a maid. It doesn't matter. If you have the passion in you and if you have the drive, there is no limit to what you can achieve. And that's my key message for the next generation. I interact with hundreds and hundreds of students and even adults. I mean, they come to me with all kinds of challenges. Many times you find people stuck in situations and they do not see solution all around them. But
Yeah.
I strongly believe that when the universe gives you a problem, it is like a wrapped gift. Okay, so you see the problem on the outside, but as you unwrap it, you start seeing the solutions within. So many people get stuck with the gift cover. They don't actually unwrap it. So this is what my book is all about, trying to help people to overcome these challenges and go inside. And as I said, I'm following the new projects that I'm working on, which is the residential community for the differently abled, the gymnasium. So in reality, there's a lot's happening, but I have a lot of time as well. What I do is, I wake up as early as possible. I mean, not too early. By 5:30, I'm up. By around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, all my official work is over. Then I'm a
Okay.
free man.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. And sir, you spoke about your books, and I also read that you hold Limca Book of Record entries. What was that about?
Two of them, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, a relative of mine, a cousin of my dad, actually wanted to write a book about his mother. And he teamed up with my dad, who actually has written 14 books by now. Actually, 15 books. He just published the 15th one recently. He's 80 years old now, and he's still working hard over there. And he is the one who actually inspired me to take up my doctorate as well. Because after retirement, way into his 60s plus, he went and did his PhD. And then he calls me up one day and says, son, when are you doing yours? So that's what put me on the path of my doctorate. And in fact, so this uncle of ours, he wanted to do a book about his mother. And we started collecting stories from around the world. So it was a co-authored book with hundreds of stories, including one that came in from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He wrote a story about his own mother, and that came in. But as soon as that book was published, immediately there came the call for a book about fathers. And they said, look, if you could make a book about mothers, why don't we do one about fathers? And we did that. And that's the book that actually went in to get me to Limca Book of Records for the largest co-authored book related to mothers.
Wow.
About fathers, and also the largest book signing ceremony, because we had hundreds of people coming in to do signing of the book on a particular event that was held at Pearl, Qatar over here. So that's what actually got me into the Book of Records.
Wow,
I mean, I should say that's what got all these hundreds of authors into it.
Wow, that's great. And talking about your book, Let's Move Mountains. Yeah,
right.
Interesting title. If you can, share something about the book. And also, I want to
Certainly.
know why. I exactly want to know this. How can somebody move mountains? You know,
Okay.
yeah, the
Right.
challenges in their life. So let's start with your book first. Yeah.
I think that book shares a lot of my own personal journey.
Hmm.
And it's as I mentioned, there's a lot of tips I picked up on my way, both in the career, in the corporate career, as well as in my interactions with all the people that I meet on a daily basis, the influence that I had from these leadership gurus and all the trainers. So all their blessings are transformed into the words of this book. So what we see, Ms. Nisha, is that a lot of people are smiling and posting a lot of wonderful pictures on the social media today. But behind those smiling faces, there's a lot of aching hearts. So and everything that you see on the social media these days is not entirely true. I give you a small, simple example. I see one of my good friends celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary, and with all these beautiful, amazing photographs about how wonderful his wife is and how their life has been beautiful, and these pictures of a party and celebration and all that. And I call up the guy and say, "Hey, happy anniversary, buddy!" And he says, "What anniversary, man? We don't even talk to each other." So then you see the difference between what you're portraying to the rest of the world and what you're really going through, and this is the fake impression that a lot of people carry with them, thinking that, hey, that's what life is supposed to be like. How come I am not like that? How come my life is not like that? And when you start comparing yourself with that fictitious or artificial, and I'm not saying everybody is like that, there's a lot of happy people also, God bless them. And when you start comparing your life with that of others, as you see on social media, a big gap comes into your mind. And then you're stuck in that gap thinking about, why am I not happy like them? Why am I not satisfied in my life like them? So there's a lot of challenges like that. Everybody, I mean, any people that you interact with today have some kind of a challenge in their life. Okay, it could be related to financial issues, it could be related to interpersonal issues, it could be related to relationship within the family, parents and children. Many families, parents come to me and say, my kids don't talk to me anymore. And this is all real life situation that happens in the world that we are in today, and all the challenges that you had with regards to COVID these days. I mean, you name it. There's so much happening out there that what happens is people get stuck in the challenges, and very often they fail to find the solutions. Because as I mentioned earlier, it comes in as a package. And there is a problem, there is a solution, but we don't see the solution. We only focus on the problem. Okay, so this book gives us very simple techniques where they can actually use to overcome and move forward from that position of stuck and to get into an unstuck position. Okay, one of the simplest techniques that I could give is to take it out from your mind and put it onto a piece of paper. First step is to understand and recognize that there actually is a challenge or is the problem. So when you know that there is a problem, you know that you can actually work on it. But if you're living in a state of denial, you're not going to progress. So the first thing is to accept. Acceptance is very key to understand that, yes, I do have a challenge. I don't want to call it a problem, a challenge or a mountain or whatever you want to call it. And then start taking it out from your mind and put it on a piece of paper so you can actually list down, okay, these are the things that are troubling me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. The moment you take it out from your mind and put it on a paper, your mind is decluttered. And once your mind is decluttered, you can start thinking clearly, you can start seeing clearly. And this is one of the first techniques to do it. And then, of course, the book goes into explaining what you can do with this list that you have prepared with. It's not enough to understand and to recognize there is a challenge. You need to work on it as well. So at some stage within the book, we talk about the fact that it's you who's responsible to overcome your challenges, and you cannot wait for somebody else to do it for you. So many people try to stay as a victim. The playing the victim is a very easy way to get away from actually having to do something about it. So I can say, look, I'm not able to make enough money because of the political situation or the economic situation, or now you can blame the war in Ukraine, or you want to blame everything around you, but nothing is going to change unless you take action. And this in this book, I've given a lot of simple techniques, about how you can focus on the steps and start taking the baby steps. You don't have to wait for the ultimate solution. Even the small baby steps will start getting you unstuck. And in reality, this is based on a very popular workshop of mine that I used to run. And I've seen amazing transformation during the workshop. So I believe that a lot of the readers, when they start reading it, and the feedback that I'm getting is good, that, when you start working through it, it's not like a storybook, it's a workbook. You're going to work on your problem. You're going to identify them. The very first chapter makes you write down the problems that you actually are facing. And then you progress through the book, and I give you a lot of simple techniques where you can work around it. And then by the end of the book, you will notice that your mountains actually have started moving. One problem that I understand or come across is that a lot of people are chasing their wants in life. So the wants keep moving. It's a moving target. So I want something today, and then when I already get that, I want something else, and then I want something else. And it's always, also triggered by the latest technological developments, what you see on social media, whatever it may be. So my wants are unlimited. But if you start chasing your wants, you always remain in a state of unsatisfactory situation. Your mind is never satisfied. But if you understand that you already have everything that you need in life, and as against what you want in life, you can immediately understand that, hey, how blessed I am. Okay, I have a roof over my head. I have food in my plate. I have my family members with me. I have a good health, or I'm able to talk. I'm able to live. I'm able to breathe. The very fact that I'm alive today is a blessing in life. But if I'm worried about the fact that, hey, I'm driving around in a Honda City and that guy is driving around in a Mercedes Benz, you're always going to remain stuck in that kind of a situation. So sometimes you need to introspect and see whether you really need those things. Okay, and you really have what you already need in life. So something like that, and I have an old chapter devoted to the power of action. So it's not enough to just think about stuff. Okay, I want to improve things. I want to improve things. Okay, what are you going to do about it? So how do you get from your present state, which is the state of unhappiness, into your desired state, P to D as I call it? And how do I know that I have actually achieved my desired stage? So what kind of measures or technique can I apply to make sure that I'm getting out of my stuck stage and I make progress step by step until I reach the desired stage? And it's a very easy, Ms. Nisha, because, as long as you realize that you can make a difference in your life and start working on it, you can get moving forward in life. Yeah.
And sir, I really like the phrase that you used a lot in the profile, saying that you inspire and enable others, especially the future generation, to be the change. To be the change. So, and
Right.
I want to understand what kind of activities do you do with, especially with the younger generation, not with adults like us, but with those young students, the youth, to make them understand that they have to take the responsibility of their own life and be the change.
As I just mentioned, but when you actually need to make a change in your life or a change in the environment around you or society around you, you cannot wait for others to do it for you. It's important to take responsibility and grab it with both hands and to then start implementing it. So in my interaction, I get invited to a lot of schools and colleges, as I mentioned earlier, not just in India and Doha, but other places as well. So when I talk to these youngsters, and it's just very surprising to see that, even when parents bring some of these children to me for coaching or for mentoring, I realize that the entire communication system within the family sometimes have broken down.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody is stuck on their own social media channels, their own mobile phones, that they're not even talking face to face anymore. Okay, and so this leads to a situation where the child is left in a lot of stress. They do not know whom to go to. If you take our traditional Indian family setup where you have joint family members, you have grandparents, you have uncles, you have aunts, you have cousins around you in the either in the same house or neighborhood. If you're unable to talk to your dad or to your mom, you can go and talk to somebody else. Okay, so we know as adults that when we are having a pressure and if we are not able to talk to somebody about it, what does it do to us? It's like a pressure cooker that keeps building pressure inside. And if you can't lift the lid off, it's going to burst one day.
True.
Right. So where these children do not always have the avenue to do that. And to add to it, parents keep adding pressure on them with regards to performance in education. The society keeps adding pressure on them in terms of, being prettier or being smarter and being attractive and being liked by so many people on social media or being followed by so many people. They are living in a constant state of pressure. And it's very important for us to let them know that it's okay not to be perfect. Because, the world that we have left for them, I mean, I would blame our current generation, my generation, your generation, that we've created this environment where the children are not able to perform to their fullest and to be children. Okay, the kids can't be kids anymore. They don't, even in a place like Doha, Qatar, how many of our children actually can live on their own if the parents could not, drive them around or walk them around or take them to tuition classes or whatever it is. So we need to be able to empower them to understand that even if they are small kids or big kids or teenagers, young adults, whatever it may be, they can actually move on and overcome some of these challenges. First thing to do is to recognize these challenges, as I said, and identify how we can work on it. Speak to somebody, start building relationship. I do a lot of programs where, I help parents and children to start building bridges within the family so that they can open up and speak. And sometimes the parents want to force their children to live a life that they couldn't live. They wanted to be an engineer, so I want my son to become an engineer. Maybe this kid doesn't even have the aptitude to be an engineer. So you're going to force him into an educational program or a career that is going to leave him unsatisfied for the rest of the life. So I use a lot of my speaking opportunities to talk to them about, showing them live examples of people who have gone on to overcome challenges. I make them aware about some of the requirements of the world around us, to be more compassionate, to be more absorbing, to become sponges, right? So that, we're not always going back and reacting to all the stimuli around us and becoming negative individuals. And I try to convince them that the competitive world that we are trying to create for them is not the real world that they need to be living in. Okay. If we are always trying to be better than somebody else, we're always fighting in constant competition with everybody else. That's a very stressful atmosphere to be in. And you don't want your children to be growing up as stressed kids. You want them to grow up as children who will smile at you. Children who will actually come to you when they have some requirements, or they do the best they can. Don't compare them with others. So that's the kind of work that I do with, and the feedback that I receive or the satisfaction that I get is that when I walk around somewhere and a youngster suddenly comes up to me and says, "Sir, I would argue Dr. So-and-so." And I say, "Yes, I am Rajeev." And he says, "Sir, when you came to my school 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and you spoke about this topic and you told me about the challenges and that I can overcome it. And sir, at that time, I didn't know how I'm going to follow my passion, but today I'm able to do this. I got admission in this college, or I got into this job or something just by listening to what you said that day. That makes my life." And that's the kind of impact that I'm able to create sometimes, and I'm really humbled and thankful to the Almighty for giving me such opportunities. And I think that I will continue to do it till the flame is blown out of me.
So now, I know you as a motivational speaker, a management expert, YouTuber, blogger, author. Yeah, somebody who does a lot of things for others. But who is Dr. Rajeev Thomas?
That's a tough question. I think that's something I'm still trying to find out. I think I'm just an ordinary person trying to create an impact. I mean, in whatever way I can. If I get an opportunity to do something that will have a meaningful impact on somebody, I like to do it. It may not always be easy for me, but if there is some way that I can put a smile on somebody's face, I would like to do that. And I know I'm a person with lots of imperfection. I'm still learning to be a good human being. But as I'm still going through that learning curve, I try to do my best. So, but at the end of the day, I am a father who loves his kids very much, and a person who hopes that I can fulfill my obligations to making sure that I have taught them to travel on rough roads, because many of the parents today are trying to make the roads smooth for their children without really empowering them to travel on rough roads, because the roads that they are going to face are not going to be smooth. The world is not filled with smooth roads. So what we need to do is to make sure our children are ready to travel on rough roads. And I think I'm trying to do that.
Beautiful. Now, sir, what would you like to share with our viewers? Your, your message to them.
We all have an opportunity to make an impact in this world. It could be not necessarily something huge like what Mother Teresa did. It could be just a drop. And she herself claimed that her work was just a drop in the ocean. So if we can become a minuscule portion of that drop and make a change, you find somebody that who needs a helping hand, or just an ear to listen to, be that, and at the end of the day, if we can leave this world better than the time we came into it, I think we have achieved our purpose. And of course, another message I would like to tell the viewers is that if at any stage, if they believe that I can be of any support to them, if I can be of any help to them, I would love to hear from them. Reach out to me. There are so many ways to connect with me, and I'll be happy to support you in any way possible, be it for yourself, your children, your families, your companies, your corporates, your whatever it is. If I can be of help, I'm here.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, first of all, for coming here and sharing those nuggets of wisdom. And there were so many things that you mentioned and so many takeaways as a parent. I have 2 little kids. And as you said, that we all are trying to make the road smoother for our kids. But at the back of our minds, especially me, I know that that is not the right way of parenting. But today you explained it so beautifully. Thank you so much for that. And once again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your not so busy schedule, but still busy schedule, and coming here and sharing all those great lessons with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, and take care.
Thank you to each one of you who is watching us live on Talksopedia. I will be back next week with a new guest. Till then, have a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.